The rain fell hard on Station Outpost 7. It was not real rain. The station was floating in space, far from any planet. But the old pipes above the lower levels leaked brown water that smelled like rust and oil. The people who lived down here called it rain because it made them feel less alone. Tiho wiped his hands on a dirty cloth and looked at the broken engine in front of him. He had been working on it for 3 days. The ship's owner was a trader who promised to pay him 50 credits. It was not much money, but it would buy food for a week. He was 34 years old. His hair was black with some gray at the sides. His hands were rough and covered with small scars from years of working with machines. Once he had been an engineer on Earth. He had worked for a big company and wore clean clothes and lived in a nice apartment. But that life was gone now. A man he trusted had stolen money and blamed Tiho for it. The police came. Tiho lost everything. He ran away to the outer colonies to escape the debt collectors who wanted to put him in prison. Now he lived in a small workshop in the worst part of the station. The walls were made of old ship metal. The floor was always wet, but it was his home. Tiho put down his tools and stretched his back. He was hungry, but he had eaten his last food pack that morning. He would have to wait until tomorrow when the trader paid him. He walked to the door of his workshop and looked outside. The narrow street was empty. Most people were hiding from the leaking pipes. Garbage floated in the dirty water that covered the ground. Somewhere far away, he could hear music playing from a bar. Then he saw something move. It was small. At first, Tiho thought it was an animal, maybe one of the rats that lived in the walls, but then he looked closer and his heart stopped. It was a child. She was lying against a pile of old machine parts. Her body was thin and weak. Her skin was pale silver like moonlight. She had no hair and her head was smooth. Her eyes were closed, but Tiho could see they were large, much larger than human eyes. She was not human. She was alien. Tiho had seen many alien species on the station. Traders, travelers, criminals. But he had never seen a child like this, alone and sick in the garbage. He ran to her and kneeled down. She was breathing but barely. Her clothes were torn and dirty. She looked like she had not eaten in many days. "Hey," Tiho said softly, "can you hear me?" The girl's eyes opened slowly. They were violet, deep and beautiful like gems. She looked at Tiho with fear and tried to move away, but her body was too weak. "Please," she whispered in broken Galactic common, "please, no hurt." "I will not hurt you," Tiho said. "I want to help." He reached out his hand slowly. The girl watched him like a scared animal. Then, after a long moment, she let him touch her arm. That was when Tiho noticed her legs. They did not move. They lay on the ground like dead things. The girl could not walk. He picked her up carefully. She weighed almost nothing. He carried her inside his workshop and put her on his sleeping mat. It was old and not very comfortable, but it was warm and dry. The girl watched him as he moved around the room. He found a blanket and covered her with it. Then he looked for food. He had nothing except some water and a small piece of dried bread he had saved for an emergency. He gave them both to the girl. She ate like she had not seen food in weeks. Tiho felt pain in his chest watching her. "What is your name?" he asked. The girl finished drinking the water. She looked at him with those big violet eyes. "Lyra," she said quietly. "Lyra," Tiho repeated. "That is a nice name. My name is Tiho. Where are your parents? Where is your family?" Lyra's eyes filled with tears. She looked away. "Gone," she whispered. "Ship. Bad people came. Fire and screaming. I hide. Ship crash. I run. I run for many days." Tiho understood. Pirates. They attacked ships in this part of space all the time. They killed people and took their goods. This little girl had survived somehow and ended up here. "You are safe now," he said. Lyra looked at him. She did not seem to believe him. "Why you help?" she asked. "I am nothing. I am broken." She looked down at her legs with shame in her eyes. "Broken?" Tiho asked. My legs, Lyra said. They do not work since I was born, my people. They say I am shame. Weak ones should not live. Tiho felt anger rise in his chest. What kind of people would say that about a child? That is wrong, he said firmly. You are not broken. You are just a kid who needs help. Lyra stared at him. No one had ever said those words to her before. Over the next few days, Tiho took care of Lyra. He gave her his food and his blanket. He slept on the cold floor so she could have the mat. He worked harder than ever to earn money so he could buy medicine and proper meals. Lyra watched him work with big, curious eyes. She asked him many questions about his machines and tools. She was very smart. She learned quickly. Tiho found himself smiling more. He had been alone for so long. After his wife Yuna died from sickness 3 years ago, he had stopped talking to people. He had stopped caring about anything. But this little girl brought something back to life inside him. One night, Lyra could not sleep. She looked at a small picture Tiho kept near his bed. It showed a woman with a gentle smile. Who is she? Lyra asked. My wife, Tiho said. Her name was Yuna. She died. I am sorry, Lyra said. Tiho nodded. She was a good person. She always wanted to help children. She said children are the most important thing in the universe. Lyra was quiet for a moment. Then she said she would help me. Yes, Tiho said, she would. That night, Tiho made a decision. He looked at Lyra sleeping peacefully for the first time since he found her. He looked at his tools and machines. He thought about everything he knew about engineering. He could not fix the universe. He could not bring back his wife. He could not change his past. But maybe he could help one little girl walk again. He did not know who Lyra really was. He did not know about her mother or her home. He only knew that she deserved a chance, and he was going to give it to her. Tiho began his work the next morning. He sat at his old table and drew pictures on scrap paper. He was designing legs, not normal legs made of flesh and bone, but mechanical legs. Exo-Legs that would attach to Lyra's body and let her walk, run, and jump. It was an impossible task. He had no money. He had no proper materials. He had no fancy computers to help him design. All he had was his brain, his hands, and his heart. But Tiho did not care about impossible. He had seen Lyra cry in her sleep. He had seen the shame in her eyes when she talked about her legs. He had to try. The first problem was parts. Good neural interface components cost thousands of credits. Tiho barely made 50 credits in a week. He could not afford anything. So he started trading. He fixed a ship for free and asked for old circuit boards instead of money. He repaired a food machine for a restaurant and took broken motors as payment. He visited the scrapyard every day and dug through mountains of garbage looking for useful pieces. Lyra watched him from her corner of the workshop. She could not walk, but she could use her arms. She helped him sort the parts he found. She cleaned them with a small brush. She asked questions about everything. What is this? She asked one day, holding up a small metal cylinder. A gyroscope, Tiho said. It helps machines keep balance. Like when you walk, your body knows how to stay up without falling. This does the same thing for robots. Lyra nodded slowly. So if I have this in my legs, I will not fall. Tiho smiled. That is the plan. Weeks passed. Tiho worked during the day to earn money and worked at night on Lyra's legs. He slept only 2 or 3 hours. His eyes became red and tired. His body ached, but he did not stop. One night he counted his money. It was not enough. He needed a special neural interface chip that would connect the mechanical legs to Lyra's brain. Without it, she could not control the legs with her thoughts. The chip cost 500 credits. Tiho had only 30. He sat in the dark and thought for a long time. Then his eyes moved to a small box on a shelf. Inside the box was a ring, Yuna's wedding ring. It was the last thing he had from her. Tiho held the ring in his hand. It was simple gold with a small blue stone. Yuna had worn it every day until she died. "I am sorry," he whispered to the empty room, "but I think you would understand." The next morning he sold the ring. The buyer gave him 600 credits. It was enough for the chip and more. When Tiho came home, Lyra noticed that he looked sad. She did not ask why, but later that night she found the empty box on the shelf. She understood. "Uncle Tiho," she said. It was the first time she called him uncle. "You did not have to do that." "Yes, I did," Tiho said. "Some things are more important than memories." Lyra crawled across the floor and hugged him. Tiho hugged her back. The work continued. Tiho built the frame of the legs from lightweight ship metal. He connected wires and motors. He installed the gyroscopes and sensors. He programmed the simple computer that would run everything. It was not perfect. The legs were ugly. They were made from scraps and pieces that did not match. Some parts were gray, some were black, some were covered in old paint. But they would work. Tiho was sure of it. During this time, bad things started to happen. A man named Dakko came to Tiho's workshop. Dakko was a crime boss who controlled the lower levels of the station. He was big and mean, with scars on his face and expensive rings on his fingers. "I hear you are building something special," Dakko said with a cold smile. "Alien-compatible prosthetics, very rare, very valuable." "I am building legs for a child," Tiho said. "They are not for sale." Dakko laughed. "Everything is for sale, mechanic. I will give you 2,000 credits for the technology. You can make more legs later, but I want this one." "No," Tiho said. Dakko's smile disappeared. "You should think carefully. This is not a nice place to have enemies." "I said no." Dakko's men grabbed Tiho and hit him in the stomach. He fell to the ground, gasping for air. Lyra screamed from her corner. "Think about it," Dakko said. "I will come back in 1 week." After they left, Lyra crawled to Tiho and helped him sit up. "Are you okay?" she cried. "I am fine," Tiho said, even though his body hurt everywhere. "Do not worry." "We should give him the legs," Lyra said. "I do not want you to get hurt because of me." Tiho looked at her firmly. "No, these legs are for you, not for him, not for anyone else." Lyra wanted to argue, but she saw something in Tiho's eyes that made her stop. It was determination. It was love. The week passed quickly. Tiho finished the legs just 2 days before Dakko was supposed to return. They looked strange. They were metal frames that would attach to Lyra's hips and go all the way down to her feet. Straps and pads would hold them in place. A small battery on the back would give them power. "Are you ready?" Tiho asked. Lyra was scared, but she nodded. Tiho carefully attached the legs to her body. He connected the neural interface to a small patch on the back of her neck. He turned on the power. For a moment, nothing happened. Lyra closed her eyes and concentrated. She tried to feel the legs like they were part of her body. Then slowly, the right leg moved. Lyra gasped. She tried the left leg. It moved too. "Uncle Tiho," she whispered. "I can feel them. I can feel my legs." "Try to stand," Tiho said, his voice shaking. He helped her up. Lyra held onto his arm. Her legs trembled. The motors made small sounds. The gyroscopes worked hard to keep her balanced. Then she let go. She stood alone for the first time in her life. Tears fell from her big violet eyes. She looked at Tiho, and he was crying too. "I am standing," she said. "I am standing." "Now walk," Tiho said. Lyra took 1 step. It was clumsy and awkward. She almost fell, but she did not fall. She took another step, and another. Then she ran. It was not fast. It was not pretty. But she ran across the small workshop, laughing and crying at the same time. She ran back to Tiho and jumped into his arms. He caught her and held her tight. "Thank you," she said into his shoulder. "Thank you, thank you, thank you." Tiho could not speak. He just held her and let himself feel happy for the first time in many years. Outside, the fake rain continued to fall on Station Outpost 7. The world was still dark and cold and poor. But inside that little workshop, something beautiful had happened. A man who had nothing gave everything, and a girl who was told she was broken became whole. Life became good for Tiho and Lyra, not easy but good. Every morning, Lyra practiced walking with her new legs. At first, she fell many times. The mechanical legs were heavy and hard to control, but she never gave up. She pushed herself to walk a little more each day. Tiho watched her with pride. After practice, Lyra helped in the workshop. She was too young to use the dangerous tools, but she could do many small tasks. She organized the screws and bolts by size. She cleaned the parts. She handed Tiho his tools when he needed them. She was a fast learner. Tiho started teaching her about machines. He showed her how engines worked. He explained electricity and circuits. Lyra listened with wide eyes and remembered everything. "You are smarter than most adults I know," Tiho told her one day. Lyra smiled shyly. "My people value knowledge very much. We learn from the time we can speak." "Your people," Tiho said. "You never talk about them. What are they called?" Lyra's smile faded a little. "The Vellani." Tiho had heard that name before. The Vellani were one of the most powerful alien species in the galaxy. They had a huge empire that covered thousands of planets. Their ships were the fastest. Their weapons were the strongest. Their empress was feared by everyone. But Tiho did not think much about it. Lyra was just a little girl. She was not a powerful alien. She was his family now. Weeks passed. Lyra grew stronger. Her legs responded better to her thoughts. She could walk normally now, and sometimes she ran just because she could. Then strange things started happening. It began with rumors. People on the station whispered about Vellani warships near the outer colonies. This was unusual. The Vellani Empire did not care about places like Station Outpost 7. They were too powerful and too proud to visit such poor locations. Then the ships arrived. Tiho was working on a repair when he heard the news. 3 Vellani warships had docked at the station. Soldiers in silver armor were walking through the streets, asking questions and showing pictures. When he came home, Lyra was hiding under his bed. She was shaking with fear. "Lyra," Tiho said gently, "what is wrong?" "They are here," she whispered. "They found me." "Who found you?" "The Vellani." Lyra nodded. Her violet eyes were full of terror. "Why are they looking for you?" Tiho asked. "You are just a child who survived a pirate attack. Why would the Vellani Empire send warships for you?" Lyra did not answer. She just shook her head and cried. Tiho held her and tried to comfort her. He did not understand what was happening, but he knew one thing. He would not let anyone take her. The next day, a Vellani soldier came to his workshop. He was tall and serious, with pale skin like Lyra's and cold blue eyes. His armor was decorated with gold symbols that showed high rank. Behind him stood 2 more soldiers with weapons. "I am Commander Orin," the soldier said. "We are searching for a missing child, a girl of the Vellani species. She has silver skin and violet eyes. She cannot walk." The commander showed a holographic image. It was Lyra, but she looked different in the picture. She was wearing beautiful clothes made of silk and jewels. Her head had a small crown on it. "A crown!" Tiho's heart stopped. He looked at the picture again. It was definitely Lyra, but why was she wearing a crown? "Have you seen this child?" Commander Orin asked. Tiho kept his face calm. "No, I have not seen any Vellani children. I work alone." The commander looked around the dirty workshop. He saw old machines and garbage. He saw the bed where Tiho slept. He saw nothing special. "The reward for finding her is very large," the commander said. "Enough credits to buy a planet." "I do not know anything," Tiho said. The commander stared at him for a long moment. Then he nodded and left with his soldiers. Tiho waited until they were gone. Then he went to the back of the workshop, where Lyra was hiding inside an empty fuel container. "They are gone," he said. Lyra climbed out slowly. Her face was pale and scared. Tiho looked at her seriously. "Lyra, I need you to tell me the truth. Who are you really?" Tears fell from Lyra's eyes. She had never wanted him to know. She was afraid he would treat her differently, but she could not lie anymore. "My full name is Lyra Vel Anora," she said quietly. "I am the daughter of Empress Neva. I am the princess of the Velani Empire." Tiho felt like the floor had disappeared under his feet. Princess, the daughter of an empress, the heir to one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy. And she had been living in his workshop, eating his food, sleeping on his bed. "Why did you run away?" Tiho asked. Lyra sat down on the floor. Her mechanical legs made soft sounds as they folded. "Because I was a shame to them," she said. "A princess who cannot walk. The advisors said I was cursed. They said I made the royal family look weak. They wanted to send me away to a secret place where no one would see me again." She wiped her eyes with her small hands. "My mother, the Empress, she is very busy. She rules 1,000 worlds. She does not have time for a broken daughter. She let the advisors decide what to do with me. She did not fight for me. She did not even look at me when they took me away." Lyra's voice became quieter. "The ship they put me on was attacked by pirates. Everyone ran and fought. I could not run. I hid in a small space. The ship crashed on a planet near this station. I crawled away and found a transport that brought me here. I have been hiding ever since." She looked up at Tiho with desperate eyes. "I did not want to be a princess. I just wanted someone to love me when you found me, when you helped me. It was the first time anyone ever cared about me, not because of who my mother is, just because of me." Tiho felt his heart break. This little girl had everything in the galaxy except the one thing that mattered most: love. He kneeled down in front of her. "Listen to me," he said. "I do not care if you are a princess or a beggar. You are Lyra. You are my family, and I will not let anyone take you away." Lyra threw her arms around him and cried. Outside, the Velani warships waited. The soldiers searched the station. Commander Oren sensed that something was wrong, but he could not find proof. The storm was coming, and Tiho knew he could not hide Lyra forever. But for now they had each other, and that was enough. The betrayal came on a cold night. Tiho was sleeping when he heard the door explode. Bright light filled the workshop. Soldiers in silver armor rushed inside with their weapons pointed. "Do not move," someone shouted. Tiho jumped from his bed, but a soldier hit him in the chest and knocked him to the ground. He felt boots kick his back. Pain exploded through his body. "Lyra," he shouted, "run." But Lyra could not run. 2 soldiers had already found her hiding spot. They grabbed her arms and dragged her out. "Let her go," Tiho screamed. He tried to stand, but more soldiers held him down. One of them hit him in the face. Blood filled his mouth. Commander Oren walked into the workshop slowly. Behind him stood Dakko, the crime boss, with an ugly smile on his scarred face. "I told you everything has a price," Dakko said. "The Velani paid very well for this information." Tiho understood now. Dakko had betrayed them. He had told the soldiers about Lyra. Commander Oren walked to Lyra. He looked at her face, then down at her legs. His eyes became wide with shock. "She is walking," he whispered. "The princess is walking." Lyra stood tall on her mechanical legs. She was scared, but she did not cry. She looked at the commander with anger in her violet eyes. "Let him go," she said. "He did nothing wrong." "He hid you from the Empire," Commander Oren said. "That is a serious crime. He will be punished." "He saved me," Lyra shouted. "He gave me legs when everyone else gave up on me. He is a good man." The commander did not listen. He ordered his soldiers to take them both. Tiho was put in heavy chains. Lyra was carried away even though she fought and screamed. They were taken to the Velani flagship, a massive warship that was bigger than the entire station. Inside, everything was clean and beautiful. The walls were made of white metal. Lights floated in the air like stars, but Tiho could not appreciate any of it. He was thrown into a dark cell and left alone. For 2 days, Tiho sat in the darkness. They gave him water but no food. His wounds hurt. His body was weak. But he did not think about himself. He only thought about Lyra. What would they do to her? Would they hide her away like she feared? Would they take away her legs? On the 3rd day, the cell door opened. Soldiers grabbed Tiho and dragged him through long hallways. They brought him to a huge room with tall ceilings and massive windows that showed the stars outside. At the far end of the room sat a throne made of crystal, and on the throne sat a woman. She was beautiful in a cold way. Her skin was pale silver like Lyra's. Her eyes were deep violet, but they held no warmth. She wore a long dress made of black silk, and a crown of silver stars rested on her head. Power radiated from her like heat from a fire. Empress Neva, the ruler of the Villani Empire. Tiho was forced to his knees in front of her. He looked up at the woman who controlled 1,000 worlds. He was just a poor mechanic from a garbage station. He was nothing to her. So, the Empress said, her voice was cold and sharp, "You are the human who took my daughter." "I did not take her," Tiho said. "I found her dying in the street. I saved her life." "You hid her from my soldiers. You lied to Commander Oren." "I protected her, like any decent person would protect a child." The Empress stood up. She walked down the steps from her throne and stopped in front of Tiho. She was tall, almost a head taller than him. "Do you know who I am?" she asked. "Yes." "Do you know what I can do to you?" "Yes." "Then why?" The Empress's voice became quieter. "Why did you help her? Why did you hide her? You could have given her to my soldiers and collected the reward. You would have been rich. Instead, you chose to suffer. Why?" Tiho looked up at her. "Because she deserved better," he said. "She is just a little girl. She was alone and scared and hurt. I could not walk away from that." A door opened at the side of the room. Lyra walked in, surrounded by guards. She was wearing fancy clothes now, princess clothes, but she still had her mechanical legs. When she saw Tiho on his knees, she ran to him. "Mother," she cried, "please do not hurt him. He is a good person." The guards tried to stop her, but the Empress raised her hand. They stepped back. Lyra stood between Tiho and her mother. Her small body was shaking, but her voice was strong. "He did what no one else would do," Lyra said. "He gave me legs. He made me walk. Your doctors said it was impossible, but he did it. He worked every day and every night. He sold everything he had, even his dead wife's ring, just to buy the parts he needed." Lyra pointed at her mechanical legs. "Look at them, mother. They are not beautiful. They are made from garbage, but they work. They work because he put his whole heart into them." Tears were falling down Lyra's face now. "And he did not know who I was. He did not know I was your daughter. He thought I was just a poor alien girl with broken legs, but he helped me anyway. He asked for nothing. He just cared about me." The room was silent. Everyone watched the Empress. Neva looked at her daughter, really looked at her for what felt like the first time. She saw the mechanical legs made of scrap metal. She saw the light in Lyra's eyes that had never been there before. She saw a girl who had been abandoned by everyone but saved by a stranger. Then she looked at Tiho, a human, a species she had always considered primitive and weak. He was bruised and bleeding. His clothes were torn. He had nothing. But he had given everything for her daughter. "Why?" Neva asked him again. "You are not her father. You are not her family. She is not even your species. Why would you sacrifice so much for a stranger?" Tiho looked at the Empress with steady eyes. "Because every child deserves to run," he said. "Every child deserves to be loved. It does not matter who they are or where they come from. Your daughter was in pain and I could help. That was enough reason." Something changed in Empress Neva's face. The coldness cracked, just a little, just for a moment, but it was there. She had ruled for 50 years. She had commanded armies. She had destroyed enemies. But no one had ever shown her what this human had shown her. Kindness without calculation, love without expectation. She turned to her guards. "Release him," she said. The chains fell from Tiho's wrists. He stood up slowly, his body aching. Lyra ran to him and hugged him. Tiho held her tight. Empress Neva watched them, and for the first time in many years, she felt something she had forgotten. Shame. The doctors on the Velani flagship worked on Tiho's wounds. They used advanced medicine that healed him in hours instead of weeks. When they were done, not even a scar remained. Tiho sat in a beautiful room with windows that showed the stars. Lyra sat next to him, holding his hand. She had not left his side since his release. The door opened and Empress Neva walked in. She was alone, no guards, no servants, just her. She looked different now. The cold mask was still there, but there was something else behind it, something softer. "I want to thank you," she said. The words seemed difficult for her, "for saving my daughter." "You do not need to thank me," Tiho said. "Yes, I do." The Empress sat down across from them. "I have ruled this empire for 50 years. I have made decisions that affected billions of lives. I thought I understood power. I thought I understood strength." She looked at Lyra. "But I did not understand what truly matters. I was so focused on the empire that I forgot about my own child. When she was born with her condition, I let the advisors tell me what to do. I let them hide her away like she was something to be ashamed of." Her voice became quieter. "I told myself I did not have time. I told myself the empire needed me more. But the truth is that I was afraid. Afraid of having a daughter who was different. Afraid of what others would think." Lyra listened with tears in her eyes. She had waited her whole life to hear these words. "Then you came," Neva said to Tiho. "A human. A species my people consider primitive. You had nothing. You lived in garbage, but you did what I could not do. You saw my daughter as she truly is, not broken, not shameful, just a child who needed love." She bowed her head slightly. "I owe you a debt that I can never repay." Tiho did not know what to say. He was just a mechanic. He did not think about debts or rewards. He just did what felt right. "I want to give you something," the Empress continued. "Name anything you want, credits, a planet, a title in my court. Whatever you desire, it is yours." Tiho thought for a moment, then he shook his head. "I do not want anything." The Empress looked confused. "Nothing, you refuse a reward." "I did not help Lyra for a reward," Tiho said. "I helped her because she needed help. If I take something in return, it changes what I did. I wanted to stay pure." Neva stared at him. In all her life, no one had ever refused her gifts. Everyone wanted something from her. Power, money, favor. But this human wanted nothing. "You are a strange man," she said. "Maybe," Tiho agreed, "but I am honest." Lyra looked at her mother, then at Tiho. "Uncle Tiho," she said, "will you stay with us? You could live in the palace. I could see you every day." Tiho smiled sadly. He touched her face gently. "I do not belong in palaces, little one. I am a mechanic. I belong with machines and engines and dirty workshops. That is my home." Lyra's eyes filled with tears. "But I will miss you." "And I will miss you, but this is not goodbye. You can visit me anytime, and I can visit you. Distance does not break love." Lyra hugged him tightly. She did not want to let go. Empress Neva watched this moment. She saw how much her daughter loved this man. She saw how much he loved her back. A bond had formed between them that was stronger than blood. She made a decision. "If you will not accept a personal reward," she said, "then perhaps you will accept something for others." Tiho looked at her curiously. "Humanity," Neva said. "Your species has been ignored by the Velani Empire. We considered you too young and too weak to matter, but you have shown me something different. You have shown me that humans have a strength we do not understand, a strength of heart. She stood up and walked to the window. I will grant humanity full alliance with the Velani Empire. We will open trade routes to your colonies. We will share technology and knowledge. We will protect your people from those who would harm them. She turned back to Tiho. One man cannot change the galaxy, but perhaps his kindness can inspire others who can. I want the universe to know what a human did for my daughter. I want them to see that true strength is not in weapons or armies. It is in compassion. Tiho was speechless. He had expected nothing. Now the Empress was offering to change the future of his entire species. Why, he asked. Because my daughter was right, Neva said. You are a good man, and good men are rare. They should be celebrated. The next week passed quickly. Tiho was given a ship to take him home. It was a small Velani vessel, fast and reliable, a gift he could not refuse without insulting the Empress. On the day he left, Lyra came to say goodbye. She was wearing her princess clothes, but she still had her old mechanical legs. The doctors had offered to replace them with better ones made from the finest Velani technology. She had refused. Why do you keep those old legs? Tiho asked. Because you made them, Lyra said. They remind me of who I am, not a princess, just a girl who was loved by a good man. Tiho hugged her one last time. Be strong, he said. Be kind. Remember what really matters. I will, Lyra promised. I will be the kind of leader who cares about people, not just power. I learned that from you. Tiho stepped onto his ship and flew away. He watched the Velani flagship grow smaller and smaller until it disappeared among the stars. Years passed. Tiho returned to Station Outpost 7, but things were different now. The alliance with the Velani Empire brought money and resources to the outer colonies. The station was cleaned and repaired. People had jobs and food and hope. Tiho's workshop was upgraded. He now had proper tools and materials, but he did not use them for himself. He opened a school. He taught young people from across the galaxy how to fix machines, how to build things, how to create. The best machines, he told his students, are not built with the finest parts. They are built with the greatest heart. Some of his students went on to become famous engineers. Others became doctors who built prosthetics for those who needed them. The ripple of kindness that started with one little girl spread across the stars. Lyra visited often. She grew into a young woman, wise and kind. When her mother eventually stepped down, Lyra became empress. But she was not like other rulers. She cared about the weak and the forgotten. She remembered what it felt like to be abandoned. And on her throne, she kept a small holographic picture of a human mechanic in a dirty workshop. One day, Lyra came to visit Tiho. She was older now, in her 20s, beautiful and powerful. But when she saw him, she smiled like she was 8 years old again. Uncle Tiho, she said, I brought you something. She gave him a small box. Inside was a ring, a simple gold ring with a blue stone, Yuna's ring. How did you find this? Tiho whispered. I searched for years, Lyra said. I tracked down the buyer. I bought it back. It belongs to you. Tiho held the ring in his hands. Tears fell down his cheeks. He thought he had lost this forever. Thank you, he said. Lyra hugged him. Thank you, she replied, for everything. Outside, the galaxy continued to turn. Wars were fought. Empires rose and fell. But in that small workshop, something eternal remained. The memory of kindness, the power of love, the proof that one person, no matter how small or poor or forgotten, could change everything. And across the stars, the story was told for generations. The story of a human mechanic who built legs for a little alien girl, not knowing who her mother was. The story of Tiho, the man who taught an empire what it means to be truly strong.